All right. On the 16th of September,
There was
went out to buy eggs and milk.
Well, Greg and Wes, thanks a lot for.
You guys are not together, right? So you guys are.
No, we are.
Okay.
We are together.
Oh, you're working together.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, even the interviews that I do will be.
Gotcha, cool.
Will be
Just fire the questions out. Anyway, so you've got the London premiere, Lemmy tonight. You must both be pretty excited, I would say.
Super excited.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to screen it in London for a long, long time, so this is very exciting.
Yeah. Obviously, the birthplace of Motorhead. You know, England being where Motorhead and Lemmy is from. So, been looking forward to it for 3.5, 4 years now. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't wait to see how the British react to the film. You know, we've seen the Canadians, the Greeks, and the Americans react. Can't wait to see the British reaction.
With with this actual idea, whose concept was it originally?
It was both of ours. I mean, we were. I had the idea, and then Greg and I talked about it, and we worked up a plan, which really wasn't a plan at all. Let's see if we can do it, and then we'll figure it out later. We didn't really have an agenda. We didn't want to show Lemmy in a certain light. We just wanted to spend some time with him and make an honest reflection of that time that we spent with him.
Superb. And was there also always going to be a sort of a set agenda? It was like, did he have a veto? Was it like scars and all? What was the whole idea behind it to start with? Did he have a veto on anything that we filmed on?
Lemmy had that was the deal. Was like we told him we wanted to make an honest portrait of him. We didn't have an agenda or an angle, and then we would just follow him around, and then whatever came together would come together, and he had final say. He could take stuff out or tell us to change it. So he was the only one. So it was Wes and I had all creative control, but Lemmy could tell us what to take out. And in the end, he loved it. So it was really great. He let us shoot everything that we shot. There was nothing that he was sensitive about or worried about. That was what was so cool about Lemmy, is that he's like so honest. He's just like left it all in there for people to see, which is pretty impressive.
So nothing was taken out then?
No, I mean, just like we had to cut stuff down for time. There was nothing really removed. We he has a solo song at the end of the movie, and for time we condensed it. We cut a saxophone solo out of it. And he yelled at us and told us to put the saxophone solo back. So that was about one of the only big changes that he made us make. So
that was really the only change.
Yeah.
To his credit, man.
Yeah, no, he was really great.
Kept it real.
Really great on that. Where there's a lot of like intimate stuff comes out in the film. Intimate or personal stuff, and he just left it all in there, which is really, really impressive.
Great stuff. I mean, were you two big fans to start with?
Well, I was a hardcore metalhead. And when I was a teenager, and got into all sorts of kinds of music since then. Oh man, I didn't really answer that very well. I was a hardcore metalhead growing up, and casual Motorhead fan. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people in the press say that our film is so obviously made by two hardcore fans. Neither one of us were hardcore fans. Like I think Greg,
probably just more the image than anything.
Well, I mean, it's a fascinating subject. I mean, obviously. Motorhead rules, and we became bigger fans than we could have ever imagined us becoming, doing the film, right? But it's not. I think people have this perception when they watch the film that we were like, 16-year-old kids completely devoted to Lemmy, but that wasn't the case. But
Yeah, I didn't. I was a casual. Like I knew Ace of Spades. That's pretty much it. I knew I'd heard of Lemmy. And he told me, he's like, we should do this film on Lemmy. And then I read about him. I'm like, okay, I've heard of this dude. It wasn't like I was not ever a big fan. And I always thought maybe that music was too heavy for me or too heavy metal. And then as I started listening to it, man, I just fell in love with it. It's because I found it. I don't feel like it's heavy metal. It's like rock and roll. So I'm a big rock and roll fan. And all these things that like Lemmy grew up on, this type of music, I just learned to love Motorhead because it is just heavy, loud rock and roll. So now I'm a massive fan.
I think, that's...
I wasn't, and the reason I say that is because I felt like I wanted to learn about him. As making a film about something is the best way making a film about someone is the best way to learn about them. And through not knowing, I feel like we might have done a little bit of a better job because you don't take things for granted, So
totally
you're like,
agree, yeah.
You're asking naive questions on camera and trying to explain it from like an outsider's point of view. So, but yeah, now we're massive fans. Before we started, not so much.
Well, I think that was the key to the film. I think, and why people love it is because we had a little bit of distance. It could have been made by a hardcore Motorhead fan, and it would have been 2 hours of minutia about the details of the different lineups and all that stuff. The fact that we were disconnected a little bit from it, I think, made it more kind of applicable to a wider audience.
Exactly. No, there's leading on to the next question. Yeah. Who was it actually that you're trying to target? The hardcore fan or
everybody,
music lover?
Everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to make it a film that I would watch, which is something. If it was a heavy metal, hardcore movie about the music, I wouldn't have watched it. So I wanted it to be about a compelling character that anybody could watch. And it's like, because Lemmy is such a compelling dude that it doesn't matter what he does for a living, you know. So it just happens to be that he's the lead singer of Motorhead.
But I would watch a 2-hour film on the making of the Overkill record. Like, I'm such a music nerd.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
But he
so
wouldn't.
That's why we made a good team.
Yeah.
And in the end, I was hoping I could make a film that my parents would enjoy. You know, they don't listen to this kind of music, but now they're like, I love Lemmy. Lemmy's awesome.
That's the funniest thing. Greg grew up in Houston, and we were on tour with Motorhead in Houston, and his mom and dad came out and actually stood in the pit. And that was one of the most vicious pits we ever experienced in 3.5 years with Motorhead. It was hilarious. Here's his mom and mom and dad in the pit, and there's all these skateboarder kids coming over the pit. You know, it was a funny moment, dude. I wish we had a photo to show you right now. You know, hilarious. You should see his mom. She's like, you know, so sweet and innocent. And,
cowering.
And like, let me, you know.
This is going to lead me to something which relates to the new wave of British heavy metal with which Motorhead were synonymous.
Yeah.
This took place 30 years ago. How much did it affect the United States? I mean, I'm seeing you, Wes, with the Ramones t-shirt, and I think that Motorhead was sort of the Ramones' cousin.
Kind of like the British Ramones, yeah. Well, one of the coolest things Lemmy ever told us, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't show from his apartment in the movie. And one of the things that I love the most is this picture of Lemmy and Joey Ramone, and it's signed by Joey, and it's like, you know, they were great friends. I mean, obviously Lemmy wrote the song about the Ramones, and but I mean, he do you remember that one day when he was like, God, that would have been an amazing tour, the Ramones and Motorhead, right? And it would have been, you know, the band didn't last long enough, the Ramones, and physically and, you know, as a band, they broke up in whatever, 96. But how did it affect America? It had a massive impact, and that's what we talk about in the movie. The whole new wave of British heavy metal, all of those bands, from the obscure to Iron Maiden, you know, who can still pack arenas all across America. But Motorhead, they just sped everything up. Everybody in the band was doing speed. They played faster. Then it just had an impact on the music. All these American bands, guys growing up in California and Metallica, you know, they started playing faster. The guys growing up in New York and Anthrax, they started playing faster. Mm-hmm. Guys in California, Slayer, they started playing faster, you know. It was all because of Fast Eddie, you know, Filthy and Lemmy. You know?
And I also want to ask Greg about his other works, in the sense that he's also worked on documentaries about AC/DC. Lately, you've also done something concerning Joan Jett, if I'm not mistaken. You did some documentaries.
Yeah, not AC/DC, but Joan Jett. Joan Jett did a song called AC/DC. So that's probably right. Yeah.
Sorry.
I worked with Black Art Records. I did a music video for Joan.
And lately, you know, there was the film about Joan Jett. How much do you think that there was any sort of relationship between what went on with AC/DC, which was a song which dealt with Joan Jett's sexuality, which is featured very much in the Runaways film as well?
Yes. What do you have to say about this, Greg?
I don't know what to say about that, man.
What are you going to say about this?
I mean, I guess it seemed like it was a pretty cool portrait of that band. You know, Joan was one of the executive producers on it. Was there while they were filming it, so. We talked to her a little bit about it, and I guess that's pretty accurate portrayal apparently of what the Runaways were. So yeah, Joan's a pretty cool chick, man. She's very sexual and very flirtatious with both the guys and the girls. So I think that's where the AC/DC comes from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to go on tour with Joan Jett, Motorhead, and Alice Cooper, and I got to tell you, man, Joan is still totally sexy to this day.
Even though she's 51.
Oh yeah,
she's so hot.
Sexier now. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
And my final question concerns